ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
We've been told there may be 500 coming as soon as tomorrow and more coming early next week.
Migrant children without their parents will temporarily stay at the convention center, and they're expected to arrive in San Diego this weekend. The move is meant to help ease overcrowding at facilities in Texas. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this busy Friday night. I'm Kimberly Hunt. Our ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo spoke to a local religious leader who's been tapped to offer services to the migrants.
The Episcopal Diocese of San Diego says they are told the group will consist of girls ages 13 to 17 years old and could arrive as early as tomorrow. Starting Saturday, the San Diego Convention Center could temporarily be home to hundreds of unaccompanied migrant children.
We've been told there may be 500 coming as soon as tomorrow and more coming early next week.
Bishop Susan Snook of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego was called on to help to offer religious services.
Girls ages 13 through 17 coming to stay at the convention center.
The diocese is currently working with leaders from other faiths to gather a team of volunteers who speak the language.
We are looking mostly for people who are bilingual, who are able to communicate with them in Spanish.
County and city leaders announced Monday the convention center would be used for about 3 months to help house up to 1,400 unaccompanied children seeking asylum at the border to help ease overcrowding at facilities in Texas. Late Friday, officials couldn't confirm details as to when or how many children would arrive, but said it would be this weekend. The minors will be cared for by the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement, also known as ORR. Their average stay is 30 to 35 days. The move criticized by Republican Congressman Darrell Issa, who in a statement earlier this week said the center's opening isn't a long-term plan or even a short-term solution, saying it's proof positive that although only 2 months old, the Biden administration has caused a historic crisis on our border.
It doesn't matter to God where they came from. They are children who need to be cared for. And that is what we are being asked to do.
Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
Meantime, a congressional delegation toured a Health and Human Services facility holding unaccompanied children, and Representative Joaquin Castro and 6 other Democrats visited the center in Carrizo Springs, Texas. Castro says their goal was to provide oversight and figure out a way to make the situation better.
That even these facilities that have better conditions than the CBP processing centers are not the places for kids. That kids should be moved quickly along to their family sponsors.
Republicans also toured part of the border in Texas last night. Senator Ted Cruz said border agents are demoralized by a cycle of people being caught at the border, released, and only catching them again. Spring break is here, and that means more people are flocking to San Diego. Businesses along Mission Beach are seeing extra foot traffic after a year of setbacks, but not everything is rosy. Lifeguards say tourism and good weather has increased activity on the water.
The crowds on the bay have been large, and a lot of activity. We've seen a lot of vessel accidents. We've seen a lot of speeding.
If you are going to rent a boat or a watercraft, you're advised to find a legitimate business that will walk you through a safety course and give you a renter's pass. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria is urging students to stop the surge over spring break. City leaders are cautioning students and others to avoid large gatherings such as the ones in Miami Beach over spring break. Unruly crowds there have forced curfews and clashes with police. Here, Mayor Gloria said he doesn't want to lose ground in the effort to get children back to school. As our numbers slowly improve to our north, Orange County is about to enter the orange tier. As of today, the county's adjusted case rate per 100,000 is just above 3. That's good enough for the orange tier. Its testing positivity is less than 2%, which is good for the yellow tier. If these numbers hold or improve, Orange County will move into the orange tier next week.
Can we do an event when we get into yellow? Can we do an event when we get into orange? And what does that look like? Currently, it looks like nothing.
The events industry needs a lifeline. County leaders are expected to consider waiving permit fees for events when they are able to resume. But as ABC 10 News reporter Anthony Pura tells us, event planners say that's just one step for their industry to recover.
Event planners say waiving permit fees will be a huge help to their industry hard hit by the pandemic. But they say what they really need is for the state to include them in its reopening plans.
We're literally like, okay, well, we've been out of work for 15 months.
Laurel McFarland runs McFarland Promotions, which helps put on well-known events like San Diego Pride, Harbor Fest in Chula Vista, and Oktoberfest in La Mesa. The pandemic forced the cancellation of events, and McFarland, who is also president of the San Diego Event Coalition, says they have no idea when events will be allowed to resume.
We're currently not in any of the tier systems, and we can't plan for the future.
We really need the state to say it's okay, and it's okay to do XYZ.
Sandy Cottrell is director of Art Walk San Diego. This is video of artists setting up for the event in Little Italy in 2019. Cottrell says the event is normally in April, but they've postponed it to October this year in hopes events will be allowed then.
Are very comfortable following whatever modifications, whatever COVID sanitation protocols are in place, mask wearing, whatever it takes.
On Friday, Supervisor Nathan Fletcher said he would be introducing a policy to waive county permit fees for events for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. The county board will consider the proposal April 6th. Fletcher says waiving the fees would cost the county more than $1.6 million in revenue, but plans to use money from the American Rescue Plan to make up the losses. McFarland says waiving fees would be a big financial help to event planners.
That can cost anywhere from $3,000 to $50,000 per event. So it could be huge.
She hopes cities will also consider waiving their event fees, but first she hopes the state charts out the path to allow events to resume. Anthony Pura, ABC 10 News.
The county reported 422 new coronavirus cases today, while our test positivity rate rose to 3%. Another 5 San Diegans have died from the virus, bringing that total now to over 3,500. Stay on top of any new developments with coronavirus by downloading the 10 News app. A free version is available in the App Store. A controversial bill in Georgia is now state law. The bill, signed into law last night, sets new limits on voting. Opponents argue it will suppress the vote, especially in black communities. As ABC's Marcy Gonzalez reports, a state lawmaker was arrested knocking on the governor's office door asking to witness the signing.
Critics slamming Georgia's new election law, calling it racist, an effort to suppress votes, President Biden referring to it as Jim Crow in the 21st century.
You don't need anything else to know that this is nothing but punitive, designed to keep people from voting. You can't provide water.
After minority voters helped propel President Biden and 2 Senate Democrats to victory in Georgia, some Republicans made unsubstantiated claims of widespread voter fraud. Now the state's Republican governor signing this bill behind a closed door. As Democratic State Representative Park Cannon tried repeatedly to get in and was taken to jail. President Trump in a statement congratulating the state for the new law, which requires voters to provide their license or ID number to vote by mail. Also under the law, outdoor ballot drop boxes that were available during the 2020 election 24/7 can now only be used inside an early voting location and only while that location is open. And it's now a crime in Georgia for anyone other than a poll worker to offer food or water to people waiting in the endless lines they often see in large cities.
They're trying to make it harder for people to vote rather than making it easier for people to vote.
Governor Kemp denying that, writing in a statement that the bill expands voting access, streamlines vote counting procedures, and ensures election integrity. As more than 40 other states move to set new limits on voting, President Biden says he and the Justice Department are looking at possible actions to protect voting rights. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A murderer who escaped from a prison in Canada has been arrested here in San Diego. Roderick Muchiki-Quinape was being held in a minimum security prison last October when he escaped. The Marshals Service recently got tips that he was in San Diego, and he was located today at UCSD Hospital in Hillcrest. Roderick, who killed a woman in 1998, was eligible for parole before escaping. A 16-year-old girl is dead after a car accident near SeaWorld. It happened just before 5 on the Ingram Street Bridge. A 16-year-old driver noticed traffic coming to a stop and swerved into the next lane. Her car hit another vehicle and flipped over. The driver and the passenger in riding with her suffered major head injury and sadly did not survive. The 16-year-old driver was not hurt.